Write this down, everyone. A, hemoglobin A1C. That represents glycemic index, pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes. Now, we know that 25-year-old men probably are not going to be type 2 diabetics, even when they're massive. But if you're 35 or 45, even on testosterone, how many people, I take care of regular people, regular guys, how many guys are pre-diabetic? In America, we're very close to 1/2 of our country is pre-diabetic.
Wow. I had a case of 33-year-old boy with 5.6 A1C.
Right, that's pre-diabetic. That's
good. You know, you don't need to go to 6 to start taking metformin.
So Ron, number one, A, hemoglobin A1C. It sounds very esoteric and sexy. It's very basic. It's an A1C. Check the comprehensive metabolic panel with your glucose. You got to keep it perfect. The moons line up. The moons line up. There's genetics on this. There's, of course, carbohydrates, Mediterranean diet. A. Let's go to B. But that's a lab. B is blood pressure. This is probably the single most, in addition to cholesterol, the two most important things that I think bodybuilders on steroids are missing. But I want to tell you how to check it and what to do. I want to be focused here, Ron. You know, I've been criticized for not being focused. So I want to be focused today.
Okay.
B, blood pressure. Now, blood pressure, my blood pressure, and I'm almost 60. I'm 58 years old. I'm small. I cut the sodium down. Don't listen to people that tell you to take 4 or 5 grams of sodium per day. Please don't listen to that. If you're 23 and you want to get huge and puffy and bloat and you want to bench a lot of weight, you could listen to that. It's not good advice. No one's going to argue medical nephrology doctors that increased sodium leads to heart attack and stroke. No one's going to argue us. Okay. So, and again, we're not trying to piss people off and bullshit people. Be careful. So when you look at blood pressure, you want your blood pressure to be around less than 120 and less than 80. Watch my videos on how to check it yourself, because when you got big arms, my arms are not big anymore. The electronic devices are not so accurate. And don't do the wrist. The wrist ones are just useless. Okay. So blood pressure, actionable. My blood pressure is about 110 to 118 over 70 to 76. I'm not kidding. But I take 2 medicines. I'm on complicated medicines now. So if you check your blood pressure and you're on steroids and you're in your 20s or even 30s, are you going to take more steroids and then take more medicines to block it? This is why Dr. T and I, there has to be some consensus. If you're on steroids or testosterone, even testosterone, you're cutting your sodium down, you're eating the Mediterranean diet, you're doing the high intensity interval cardio, you're trying to not be too big. If you're hypertensive, I'm going to give information. Angiotensin receptor blocking, ACE and ARB for Caucasian men are going to be protective. If you're more African-American, a calcium channel blocker or a thiazide diuretic. This is evidence-based information. Dr. T agrees.
And also ARB lowers LDH, you know?
Right. So listen, Ron, I've been taking these medicines in the beginning quietly since probably around my late 20s to 30s. I've been self-medicating. With the grace of God, my heart is perfect with the grace of God. My kidneys are perfect with the grace of God. I feel like a million. Look how insane I am.
Thomas, what's your ejection fraction?
Perfect. It's 50s, 60s. I don't know. I checked it 2 years ago, 55, 60.
Zero calcium score.
My calcium score is, I actually, 20 something years ago, at the age of 37, I had a calcium score that was, I think, 14, and I got scared. And that's why, I want to go into that next. Now, B is blood pressure. Listen, if you get on my app has information that's actionable. You do the history and physical. It's artificial intelligence. We're trying to understand. We're trying to make it that you understand your risks. Go to your doctors. I'm not trying to take people from doctors. I want you to go to your doctors, but a lot of healthcare practitioners, they're not experts. You can't know everything, Ron. In hypertension, diabetes, dyslipidemia. I'm an internist, so I'm doing it. It's all I read 24/7. So does Dr. T. So we're overloaded, right? I mean, we can't keep taking patients. We do the best we can, but we got to spread the information. B is blood pressure. A, hemoglobin A1C. Keep it perfect. Metformin. I've been on metformin for almost 20 years. My hemoglobin A1C never goes over 5.1. And I get to eat pizza. I eat food. I don't diet. I'm giving secrets, Ron. A is A1C. And rapamycin, that's for Dr. T. Rapamycin, look at Dr. Green and rapamycin. That's a
We
little
don't care
extreme.
about, mTOR. Come on.
Guys,
I don't
hold on. We're not going to go into mTOR. We're not going to do mTOR today. We have to stay focused, Dr. T. Number one is hemoglobin A1C, dietary means, activity, and metformin. Guys, and metformin is not going to make you weak. I bench press mid 400s.
Some people speculated with lower IGF-1. Personally, I don't care. I want to be my A1C.
Right. Right. So metformin is incredible. But again, you have to understand your kidney function. If your kidney function is not right, metformin can be toxic. Ron, this is where you have to have information from Dr. T and I and other doctors. But I know when I assess patients directly with metformin potential, I look at renal function and I have to understand if their kidney function is impaired. Ron, I see so many men that come in with chronic kidney disease from steroid use, genetics, hypertension, too much protein. We don't want to put down protein, and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Ron, I have right now 30 guys in dialysis, maybe 50.
My God.
And a lot of the guys, most of the guys are in their 40s. I'm almost 60.
Wow.
Come on, guys. I love steroids. A, hemoglobin A. B is blood pressure. I want to be super focused. I tell side stories. B is blood pressure. You have to take a little baby doses of blood pressure medicines. It makes your sex drive. It makes your cock work better.
Oh, good.
Let's be honest. When you're old, if you destroy your endothelial function,
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
that's nitric oxide. B is blood pressure. You have to take your history. You have to know your family history, your genetics. My history takes an hour and a half. I do a few a week because I always do consults. Okay, but I'm backed up a couple of months. B is blood pressure. C, cholesterol. Cholesterol is huge. It's not just cholesterol. It's looking at a lipid panel and understanding the Framingham data and then advanced Framingham data, total cholesterol, HDL, LDL, triglycerides. Guys, you don't need the advanced lipid panel just first. Start with the low-hanging fruit. LDLs, everyone needs to be under 100. Now it's going to get tricky because depending on your genetics, depending on the calcium score, Steve Bleckman put a great editorial out. We know that the calcium score looks at hard plaque. It doesn't look at soft plaque. But listen, you have to have an expert integrate all this stuff together. That's where the gurus, they're very good at training and giving steroid advice, of course, but I don't understand this. And I'm a 20-year veteran physician. And I 24/7 have been working with lipids, cardiology doctors, lipidologists, and I still have to get my head around. When you look at, if you're 35 years old, 45, you have a bad family history, you have everyone's coming to me in America right now, no cholesterol, nothing's treated. And I'm not going to go into the pandemic and we're not going to go into politics. No one's treated because no one really has been to doctors because the pandemic. Okay, so everyone's cholesterol, I would say my average LDL for a 42-year-old man who comes to me, and he's on a little testosterone. He's not a pro. He's just a regular guy. He's on testosterone. His LDL is 140. His LDL is 140. That's the average bear right now, not treated. He doesn't want a statin. He's like, I get a calcium score and I see a positive calcium score from 20 up to 400 or more. Listen to me. So when you look at the calcium score, he has no symptoms. He is not short of breath. He has no angina. When you assess this, you have to look at him, his other comorbidities. A, B, C, you see, the family history on the side will tell everything. And then I put together a regimen, Ron, just for this man individually. And it's going to be harm reduction because A, B, C, D.